All right, hello once again, Jeff Scott of Rankin Technical College, and I've been going through a series of video presentations, or creating a series of video presentations. I started out by creating 9 on HTML, the hypertext markup language, which allows us to put content on a web page. Then I did 8 lectures on CSS, cascading style sheets, which allows us to style the content on a web page. And now we're looking at JavaScript, the programming language that allows interactivity to take place on a web page. All right, now I did all this stuff earlier, and I want to see if I can grab this stuff, and I want to put it into here, because I want it to run from here. There it is. All right, so let's come back here, and we have to add that file, and again, we can add it either here or here, but we've already got it there, so I'm going to leave it right there. And you'll notice that when I save this and I come over here, what's your name? Jeff. What? Hello, Jeff. And it didn't run the second one. It just ran that. So why did it do that? Well, it has to do with the fact that, for lack of better words, it's not all that smart. All right. So what I'm going to do in here is I'm going to do this. I'm going to come in here and I'm going to take all of this code that I have in, and I'm going to put it into a function. Don't worry about what a function is right now. I'm going to call it main, and I'm going to end up putting every single thing that we do for now inside of main. Okay, and let's see if that changed anything. It may or it may not. Now, it didn't do anything. All right, well, what's the problem here? Well, main was never being called. It's a function. It's designed to do that stuff we want it to do, but we never told it to invoke itself or call itself. What if I come down here and I type in main like that? Let's see what that does. Let's go back to here, refresh. Well, lo and behold, what's your first name? Jeff. What's your age? 64. Hello, Jeff, you're 64. Next year you will be 641. Well, what's wrong with that? Same problem that we had before. And that is, when we go back here, all right, we don't want to just say prompt. We want to say parse int prompt. We want to convert that into a number. Now, let's run it one last time here. Jeff, 64. Hello, Jeff, you are 64. Next year you will be 65. All works as expected. All right. Now, that's fine. I showed you a very simple example that, let's face it, this doesn't do all that much. All right. So let's do this. Let's take that code. We may want it again later. I don't know. And let's comment all of it out. Okay. So I commented everything out of here. So again, if I run this program now, that's all you get, because all the JavaScript has been commented out. And what that's going to allow me to do when we come back here is I'm going to write some more comments in here. All right. And I'm going to say in here, let's see. How about JavaScript data types. All right, and this might be several lines long, so let's put it as a /*. All right, and I'll hit enter a few times, and I'll end it with a //. All right, well, I'm going to talk about simple data types right now. Simple data types are called primitive data types. All right, and I'm going to give you a few of them. So first, string. Second, number. Third, Boolean. Fourth, null. Fifth, undefined. And 6, symbol. And I'm going to put an asterisk there, and we'll talk about why in a little bit. All right. Okay. So the first thing that's in there is strings. You've already seen what a string is, because remember that if I come in here and I say, I'm going to create a variable. If I say let, now we did this. We said let your name equals prompt, like what is your name? Or I think we might have even said enter your name here, whatever it was up here. Enter your name, please. We could have done that too. All right, and that's fine. What if I already know the name? Okay, so I already know my name's Jeff. I can't do this. That's an error. All right, and I'm going to show it to you. So I'm going to hit that. And I'm going to come in here, and you're like, there's no error. Well, if I go to my inspect, and I go back to console, it says Jeff is not defined. The system itself has no idea what Jeff means. It actually thinks that there is a variable I've already created, either one that I've created or one that JavaScript has created called Jeff. That doesn't exist. But on the other hand, if I do this, Jeff, now let's see what happens. Now I haven't told it to do anything yet, but you'll notice I have no errors. When I go into my console, there are no errors. This is DevTools stuff. Don't worry about that. That's nothing that we're doing. Now I've got my choice when I set this up in this language. I can either take my strings and put them in double quotes like this, or I can put them in single quotes, and it works just as well. What I cannot do is I cannot start with a double quote and end with a single quote, or start with a single quote and end with a double quote. You'll notice I get an error message there. It says unterminated string literal. In fact, if I save this now, so I'm going to do a file save, and if I come back in here and refresh and go back into my inspect and go to my console, invalid or unexpected token. And it's like, hey, I already told you that. So again, I like to use double quotes for my strings because in some programming languages, all you can use for strings are double quotes, and single quotes mean something else. That's not the way that it is here. All right. Now, you saw before that we came in and we said, let your age, and I'm going to put the prompt back in there. So I'm going to say prompt, enter your age, please. All right. And I better put an equal sign in there. All right. And then I came out and I said, alert, let's just put in here your age. It's going to work. It will work just fine. So enter your age, enter your age, please. 64. And it says 64. That's right. But what it actually put in here was not 64. I know that's a little hard to believe, but what it actually put in there is the character string 64. And remember, that character string has no actual value. That's why I could put in here hello, and it would take it just fine. Now, what happens if I come back in here again and I add what we had previously, that parse int? And parse int just means basically parse this or convert this into a whole number. That's what an int is. An int is short for integer. Now what's going to happen? Anybody want to take a guess? I'm going to say hello again, and what's it going to say for your age? I already know, but I'm not going to tell you. I'm going to let you see it. So I'm going to again put in hello, and it comes back NaN. NaN means not a number, because what we put in is non-numeric. What if we run this? So what if we run this program, and as we're running it here, what if we come in and it asks us our age, and what if I put in 64 hello? You think it'll work, or you think it won't work? Let's check. So enter your age, please. 64, hit the space bar, and I'll put in hello. And it says 64. Well, that worked. Why did that work? Well, JavaScript tries to be a very forgiving language. So when you did the parse int, it kept looking as long as it found numbers. As soon as it found the blank space, it stopped looking. All right. What if I do this? What if I come in here and I run this again, and I put in 64.5, all right, and I hit enter. It comes back and it says 64. Well, what happened to the 0.5? It was truncated, which means it was removed, because all parse int does is it keeps going as long as it sees a number, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, or 9. As soon as it sees something else, it immediately stops. So if I run this again, and I put in 0.65, 64, notice it comes back NaN. As soon as it saw that period, it says that I don't care what follows. It's invalid. Well, what if I want to be able to put in a decimal place? So let's say that I want to add in here, this is all fine, but what if I want to say, let your sal for your salary equals, well, I can say parse int prompt, whoops, what is your salary? All right, so I can do that. Okay, and let's see what happens when I do that. In fact, we'll do another alert. We'll say alert, and we'll put in there your sal for your salary. Okay, so we'll have two alerts when we run this. So enter your age, please, 64. What is your salary? Let's say it's 3456.78. It says 64, and then it didn't say anything. It's asking the age. 64, what is your salary? How about hello? 64 and NaN. Well, why did it go and do all that stuff? It didn't want a parse int here. It wanted what's called a parse float, which means now it'll keep going as long as it sees a number 0 through 9 or one decimal place. So if I run this again, and it asks for my age, and I say 64, and it says, what is your salary? And I say 34567.89. All right. It says the 64, and then it's got the 34567.89. Now, one kind of weird thing, this is, I believe this 64, that in the age, 64, NaN, I don't know what's going on with that, but I think that might be back in the actual HTML file. So there's our script file. Something is goofy here, but I don't even care. It's totally fine. All right. So we've got all this stuff in here, right? Everything is in here. What I want you to get out of this is three things. Number one, when you create a string, which is one of the number types in here, you either put it in double quotes or you put it in single quotes. Your choice. Again, I would recommend, when possible, using double quotes. Numbers are twofold. JavaScript only has a number. All it has is a number type of variable. But you can tell it to handle only whole numbers or handle numbers that have a decimal place by using parse int or by using parse float. All right. Now, if you remember before, we did this. In fact, let me bring that down from where we had this before. All right, I'm going to copy this in again. So earlier we said, ask your name. Okay, and I'm going to remove this parse int again. It's not going to work. All right, when I say it's not going to work, it's going to say next year I'll be 641 years old. So Jeff, 64, I'm 64, next year I'm 641. What if I don't want to do all that stuff I showed you before? You saw how to make it work, all right? But what if I do this? and I say your name and your age. Well, what if I come in here and say this? All right, so what if I do come in here and literally try to convert this? Can I say number? I don't think, let's see, do you need number in double quotes? I want to say number, your age. All right, so let's see, plus number, I guess the whole thing will have to be in parentheses. There we go. What is that going to do? All right, so what is this going to do? Let's look. Jeff, 64, you're 64. Next year you will be 65. Well, that worked. And the reason that it worked is I told it to take what's in here and convert it to a number. And that's what it did. All right. So I've shown you quickly. All right. We still got a little bit of time. I've shown you the string type, the number type. Let's look at Boolean. Now, Boolean, it's actually named after, I'm going to get rid of all this. It's actually named after a mathematician back, I don't know how long ago, named George Boole. And Boolean variables are special in that they can only have one of two values, true or false. Quite often when you create Boolean variables, you start them with the word is. You don't have to do that, but you typically start it with the word is. So I'm going to say let is married equal true. Let is single, well, if is married is true, then is single is equal to false. So I now have two variables. And I'm going to put in here an alert that says Jeff's marital status is married. All right. Then I'm going to put another alert in here that says, I'll use my youngest daughter, Chloe's marital status is single. All right. Now, it's not going to look right. All right. Why? Because Chloe is single, but notice what's going to happen here. Jeff's marital status is true, and that is correct. Chloe's marital status is false. Well, actually, it did come out correct, didn't it? But the weird thing is, really is single for her is true. It's not false. So I really should have said, all right, instead of saying is single, I could have done this with just one variable. All right. How do I do that? What if I say this? Let's see what that does. Jeff's marital status is true, and that's all it said. Well, it didn't like that. All right, so it didn't like me doing it like this. Can I put it in parentheses? Still doesn't like it. All right. So what if I come in here and say, let's see. I do want to say not is single. Oh. What is that going to do? Jeff's marital status is true. Chloe's marital status is false. So it did let me do it. I was just put the wrong variable in there. So Boolean variables can only contain true or false. That's it. All right. Now, let's quickly look at the rest of these for now. All right. null. Null means unknown. So for instance, let's say that we got a new student who just started today. His name is Bob. And I'm going to say Bob's GPA for Bob's grade point average. And if I say, Bob, what's your grade point average? And Bob says, I don't know, I just started today. I don't have one yet. All right, well, I don't want to set it to 0 because technically that's not true. But if I say null, that's legit. And I have to say equal null. Because null means unknown. Now, if I do print this out, and I say here, Bob's GPA is, and I print out Bob's GPA, GPA, like that, it's going to say Jeff's marital status is true, Bob's GPA is null, which means that it's unknown. Now, what if I do it like this? What if instead of putting it in like that and setting it to null, I just set it like this? All right, I don't put anything in there whatsoever. Now it's Jeff's marital status is true. Bob's GPA is undefined. So that's the next type. So we looked quickly at string, number, Boolean, null, undefined, and the only one that's left is symbol. All right, symbol is a new one. And let me go in here and do this. So let me just come in here and say JavaScript symbol variable example. And I'll let the system find one for me. What are the JavaScript symbols? All right, it says they're a new primitive type, etc., etc. And do we really need them? You know what? This is big enough. I think I'll come back and take a look at this in the next video.